see me here? This is a Charles Leclerc flag that I flung very hard in Austria. I was a very happy boy. Charles hadn't won in a while. And guess what? You know what else I have? Oh, that's right. I have a fucking... Audio listeners can't see this shit. I have a fucking Ferrari. This is last year's Ferrari. But still, I bought it because it's fucking sick and I love Ferrari. And if you didn't know, they had a race today. Anyways, by the way, welcome to the F1 Lounge Podcast episode, whatever the fuck, I forgot. I didn't post last week in Austria because shit happens, you know? You know what I mean? Shit happens. Shit happens. And, oh my god. How do you sit? How do you sit for a second? So, I don't know if this is going to work particularly well, but if I'm going to sit for a minute. I don't understand. But, so, today, as I'm recording this, it's not going to go up tonight. It'll probably go up Monday or Tuesday. On lap, I think it was 17 or 16, Charles Leclerc, or Max Verstappen pit. Actually, let's double check so I don't get my facts wrong. Great, my Ferrari flag just fell, just like my heart during the race. Max pits lap 16. Charles showed a follow. Now, if that happened, would he have not crashed? Probably, but just not kind of unfair to the team. Ferrari don't cover Max, sticking to the strategy. Might be doing a one-stop. Right? It's chill. So, the scene of the crime happens around lap 19. I think we're looking at Max along the straight, or one of the Red Bulls. And then there's a thing that says, yellow flag, sector 3. My heart doesn't drop. I'm like, oh, what's that? Sector 3? Someone might have just spun. And they cut to a Ferrari in the flipping wall. A Ferrari in the wall. My heart drops. I'm like, no, I can't. you can't be playing with me like this. The F1 gods, they can't possibly be doing this to me, right? No, they did. It was Charles and the fucking wall. It wasn't Carlos. You know, earlier this season you used to seeing cut to a Ferrari in the wall. It's Carlos. Whatever. Carlos had a great race today, by the way. But no, it was Charles in the wall. And all I can think of as a Ferrari fan, all I can think of, Germany 2019. It's the exact same shit. Chasing down championship leader, having a good race. And he just bins it. And did not make me feel great. I love the emotion. Right after he crashes, he just screams, no! And I felt that. It was an okay race. To be honest, it was okay. Safety car screwed everything. Screwed K-Mag, it screwed Carlos. Because Carlos was charging, he was going to catch the pack. Didn't happen. Put him onto mediums. Because they had to, because he started on hards, which was a good choice, but kind of fucked him in the end. And then Ferrari, with like 10 laps left, I was looking at it and I was like, he might be able to get to the end, because now the hard tires are shit. Ferrari didn't do that. Alright, I think this is kind of unfair for people who didn't watch the race. So if you didn't watch the race, let's do a recap before we get into some big talking points. So, welcome to France. This is the last year on the contract for the French Grand Prix. I don't imagine they're going to pick it up, but it's a nice little track. I love it on F1. I'm very good at it on F1. Very solid at it. But it's kind of a boring race. I'm not going to cap. It's kind of boring. It was pretty boring today too, except for Carlos. Practice 1, Ferrari come to race with a brand new floor. That's pretty good. Sainz was going to take 10th place penalty. Could be more. Was more. Ferrari competitive as usual. Leclerc was first in practice 1. And nothing much happened because it's fucking practice. And the only people who watch it are nerds like me. Ferrari look a lot better than Red Bull in the pace. Could be continuing from Austria. Didn't really. Sainz could be faster than Leclerc, looking really quick. I think he might have, like on merit. I think either Leclerc was holding back or Sainz was just better. Now, especially after what happened with Leclerc, Sainz might go on a little run here. Sainz could be faster than Leclerc, really quick. Red Bull was stronger race pace. It kind of happened, not really. It was kind of even. Perez seemingly nowhere. He was nowhere all weekend. Red Bull continued to look strong. Carlos will now officially start from the back in practice 3. Williams have a great session. Both drivers in top 10. Hassel struggled this session. They struggled most of the weekend. Carlos looks faster than Leclerc again. All right, T. Now we're going to qualifying. Merck were massively off the pace the whole weekend. They were like a second slower. Can't be having that. Norris was shockingly quick this weekend. Max and Charles continue to be close. Same lap. I don't know what that fucking means. Schumi gets through. But his time gets deleted. Shocker. Vettel, great lap, gets through. Hasn't done that in a while. And Gasly, out on home race. Now, this is where we stop and talk about Mr. Pierre Gasly. Now, I consider myself a Pierre Gasly fanboy. He's been quite rubbish this year. I'm not gonna lie. He's been quite rubbish. I don't know if he's rubbish or the car's bad. I'm gonna say he's rubbish. He's been quite underperforming, like all year. Like he's just been not good. Just like, Like last year he was pulling out shockers, and like you're like, oh, this guy's like, he's like pushing the envelope of what a midfield car can do. But this year, he's pushing the envelope of whether he deserves another seat with a better team. Maybe it's like and I compare it mostly to Bottas at the end of his Mercedes career, where he was just kind of done with it. He wasn't like massively, and I think it had to do with Perez. I think he either found out or he heard the murmurs that Perez was getting renewed, and it really just demotivated him. I think he really just sincerely wants that Red Bull seat so bad, and he didn't get it. He hasn't really been strong anywhere. I mean, Baku, he was good, but the car was quick in general in Baku, so I don't know. Pierre's been kind of off. So, Pierre, step it up. I love you, big bro. I might be older than you. I don't know. No, I'm not. Definitely not. Not that old yet. In Q2, Norris continues to look really fast. Haas looking good. K-Mag gets 5th. K-Mag was doing a stunner. He was destroying Carlos's qualifying, because all Carlos had to do was make sure he was in front of K-Mag, because K-Mag also got a bunch of engine penalties and was going to the back. But Carlos wanted to be in front of him. Kind of a weird thing to do, but I mean, I guess why not? It helped them later on, but K-Mag was putting some laps in, man. Carlos goes a second faster than Max, and so did Leclerc. I don't know what happened in Q2. I don't know if they Red Bull was like, I don't care anymore. But yeah, it was kind of weird. Magnussen and Carlos through. Yuki makes it into Q3. Great finish. In Q3, Leclerc gets a stunner. Carlos gave him a slipstream into Bosse, which is a corner. It's the long, winding right-hander. Give him a nice slipstream, and it was a pretty standard Q3 session. Not like too surprising happened. Oh, except for Norris out qualifying. Norris out qualified Russell. Found it funny on Twitter. I don't know if it's his account or if it's like a quadrant thing, but Lando Norris on his Twitter is called Team Lando Norris. He tweeted, because there's been like a little thing going on. I don't really get it, but it's kind of funny. He's like George Russell, the type of guy. It says George Russell, the type of guy to start behind Lando Norris. I thought it was pretty funny. We're going to have a George Russell discussion later on. Don't you worry, folks. But now we go to race day. Race day, race day, race day. Carlos will start from the hards. So did Bottas and Pierre Gasly. Those three people started on the hards. I don't know why Bottas did it. Bottas was like 11th. And was like, let's start on the hards. That makes sense. Didn't make sense. He had a shit race. Did Bottas? Hold on, let's see. Did Bottas finish? Turns out Valtteri Bottas did finish the race. It was nowhere. I never saw him once. But that could be just because the fucking TV direction on this episode was quite rubbish. You might see it on my Twitter. I am going to put up a thing of like all Lance Strolls overtakes, all Carlos Sainz overtakes. Because guess what? I don't know about the international thing. I might rewatch the race tonight, see if they showed it. But an F1 Live TV, which is good. I like it. I pay for it for a reason. For archives, not for this. It was, Carlos and Kevin Magnussen within like the first 10 laps, were up combined 20 places. They had done 20 overtakes in like the first 10 laps. And we saw none of them. We were focusing on Leclerc and Verstappen. Right? They're close. Fine. Sure. Right? But Leclerc and Verstappen, there's only like 3 overtaken places in France. It's not like you have to show them the whole time. Like, it was so bad. Alright, now let's get into the actual race. Leclerc got off my fucking dick. I need a drink. So to start the race, Leclerc got a great start. You could tell from even the TV that he was just a lot further ahead. Hamilton, on the other hand, gets past Perez instantly, almost dive bombs him, takes out Verstappen, but that didn't happen. The two McLarens were in a fight. The two Astons were also in a fight. Tsunoda gets spun as Ocon tried to overtake him, but he got a little bit of oversteer as he was exiting the corner, went right into Tsunoda. Tsunoda later retired. K-Mag, great, up to 13th in lap 1, and we saw none of those overtakes. Sainz down the grid, but he's on hard, so give it time. It did give time. Bottas, who also started on the hards, having trouble falling 6 places in the first 2 laps. Ocon gets a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. I thought it was a bit harsh, seeing how it wasn't his fault at all. He just got oversteering and went into Tsunoda. I thought that was a bit harsh. Lap 9, Carlos passes Magnussen into 12th. Lap 14, Carlos passes Stroll into 10th, and I thought he could still get 3rd in the race, and he could have. Max pits lap 16. Charles should follow. We've already discussed this. I'm a sad Ferrari fan, and that's why you're here to drink my tears, and your tears enter my views. Ferrari don't cover, blah, blah. Leclerc classes, no, why? Leclerc team radio makes it seem so emotional. It did. Carlos moves up to 5th. Zhou takes out Mick, and Zhou ends up retiring. No, he didn't end up retired. He went into the pits. I thought he was going to retire. He did not. Sainz gets a 5-second penalty for no fault of his own. His team released him into one of the Williams. I think it was Albon. He got a pit lane releasing unsafely, one of those penalties. Sainz gets impaired, but he might have to make another pit stop. That's a conversation I'll have in a minute. Great battle between Perez and Carlos. It was an amazing battle, and Carlos got the better of it. And what is George talking about? No. Hold on. Now let's talk about George Russell. George Russell. My man, George. You know, when you're Williams, I thought you were a bit overrated. So this is kind of a personal thing. I thought you were a bit overrated. Not completely. I thought Mercedes drive fine. But saying you're going to beat Hamilton right away, kind of ludicrous. And you are. But that's because I think the car's not fast enough. I think it's like a Carlos and Leclerc thing, where if it's like pushing the points, pushing podiums, George will probably do better. But what it takes to win a Grand Prix, win a race, I mean, it's Lewis, obviously, right? What are we talking about here? It's the great, one of the, I mean, guaranteed top two, top three greatest racers ever. George doesn't stand a chance against that, right? So last race, I had a tweet kind of blow up where some people were talking about, what is George? Why are people yelling at George? George had the corner. No, he didn't. In Austria, Perez was completely past him, and George still stuck a nose in there, and he was like, I'm here. I mean, he complained on the radio for 5 minutes. But he got a penalty. Great. Today, he goes and dives down the inside of Sergio Perez. Now, Sergio Perez has nowhere else to go but turn into the corner. George Russell goes, what was he doing? Oh my God, what the fuck, bro? What the fuck, bro? He needs a penalty. He went straight on. Come on, bro, what is this? And like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, what are you on about, George? Like people yell at Max, yell at Lewis, yell at other people for whining all the time. I think it's without a doubt George is the biggest whiner. I don't know if it's a mental thing where like he's scared because Lewis is now like on him. Lewis is now outperforming, so he's like, I need to do better, and he's like projecting it. But like, this is not a good look. He's gained a lot of haters. I'm not one of them. I would call myself a skeptic of George Russell. Like you dive down the inside of Perez, and you're whining for the next 5 laps. And before you come and attack me, his own team has the same belief as I did. Because Toto Wolff came on the radio and basically told George, shut up, you're wrong, drive. Don't matter, just beat him on track. And he's still complaining. And Toto's like, just drive. You can beat him on track. And he could. He had a little sneaky tactic. So at this point, Max Verstappen was in the lead by far, right? I mean, the only other car that was going to compete with them was Charles. Because Carlos was so far back, he was never going to catch up and be able to fight him, right? Perez was nowhere this weekend. I don't know what was wrong with Perez. He didn't like this track. Hamilton was in second. He was with them for a few, but he made a couple mistakes. Was gone. So Max in no trouble. Lewis was easy second. So now it's Perez and Russell, the big battle for third and fourth. After, forgot about that. Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz is my opinion, better strategist than anyone that have paid money to strategize. Because with 10 laps left, I'm looking up, I'm like, hey, Carlos can make it to the end. And Ferrari team are like, no, that's not possible on these mediums. Well, I don't know, a fun fact. Pierre Gasly made it to the end of the race without having losing bunches of time or having his tire blow out. And guess what? He pitted on the same lap as Carlos Sainz. Interesting, right? Right. But Ferrari were like, let's pit. And the greatest thing is he did an interview after the race with, it was F1 Live after. It was a post-race show. And Nick DeVries asked him, why did you ignore the first time? And he literally said, nah. And he literally said, because I was in the middle of a move, I wanted to complete the move. It didn't matter if I pitted this lap or the lap before. I just wanted to pit. So I was like, all right, whatever. I don't understand why they pitted him. Like, they were like, well, the 5-second penalty plus the tires, it was kind of a no-brainer. No, it wasn't. You're 20 seconds gap to Alonso. So the worst thing could happen is you drop back and you're in 5th. Well, guess what? You still finished 5th when you pitted. So if you just stick with them and you are past Perez and his tires are dropping off and he's going to battle with Russell for a while, you can pull a gap. So like maybe you're not gonna get on the podium, but that's fourth. You're never gonna. I mean, I think if you pit him onto the tires, you do it lap like 20, like 15, 20 laps to go. So you give Carlos the time to be able to catch up and pass him again, not wait until 7 laps left in the race. Like what is that? I'm sitting at home, and I think genuinely, I could be a better strategist than the people they have hired. I don't know what's going on with Ferrari's strategy. It's still messed up. It's not the reason Leclerc lost today, but it's the reason that Carlos is on the podium. Carlos is on the podium if they have a good strategy. Like, oh my god. We're gonna do some points awards, some driver ratings, and looking ahead to the next Grand Prix, which I actually don't know what it is. I think it might be a summer break. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down. I've given up on this whole standing thing. I did a solid, 15 minutes or whatever. Standing. That's solid. Maybe I'll stand for the end. But for now, we will continue the podcast unedited. Oh, fuck. The camera's way up. I lied. Alright, so after this race, now we go to Hungary. And then we have a month-long break until we go to Belgium, Netherlands, Italy. And then another about month break. Yeah. So we go after France now. We go to Hungary, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy. Then we have about a couple week break to Singapore, Japan. Couple weeks off, United States, Mexico. Like a week off, Brazil, and then Abu Dhabi. Last race. Okay. Alright, see. Let's start with some driver ratings. So, driver ratings, we will go France. Race results, go from last to first. Yuki Tsunoda gets a 6. He was kind of just nowhere. And it was an average weekend from an above average driver. So 6 out of 10 seems about right. Then, why is he here? And Charles Leclerc. 8 out of 10. Would have been a 10 out of 10 if he won the race. Could have qualified. 7.5 out of 10. Because he did have, I think, Sainz was quicker than him in quality. I think, but he loses a whole 2 points just on, him crashing and it being his fault majorly. 7.5 out of 10. Just, Next is Kevin Magnussen. He gets an 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. He had a great weekend. The car just kind of shit itself on him. And he kind of wasn't anywhere after safety car. Kind of was screwed by that, but, good weekend for K-Mag. Next, Nicholas Latifi DNF'd on lap 40 after an incident with Kevin Magnussen. That's how they retired. They had an incident, they both retired. So, I'm going to give Latifi 7. I think he had a good weekend based on Latifi's terms. But, yeah, it was kind of pedestrian. Zhou Guanyu, 6 out of 10 because I expect more from Shogunyo. And he was just kind of nowhere all weekend. The whole Alfa Romeo team was just nowhere. Which doesn't make sense because the Ferrari was doing good power-wise. Because both Ferrari and Haas were doing good power-wise. Mick Schumacher, it's a 5 out of 10. He had a very, very bad weekend, in my opinion. He was nowhere all weekend, and yeah, it was bad. 5 out of 10. Probably one of the lowest grades I've given. Bottas, 6 out of 10. Kind of got screwed with hot tires, but he also didn't have any pace shown, and he just, I don't know, just kind of seemed nowhere all weekend. Alex Albon, I'll give him a 7. He was pretty good. He was fighting for points for some of the time, but yeah, I think Albon had a pretty good race. He was very good. Vettel had a good overtake on him. Pierre Gasly, I'm giving a 7 out of 10. Even though I kind of talk shit on him, he did have a decent weekend. Didn't score points at home, but he had a good race, I think. He made the mediums last, and his team didn't call him in for no reason. Seb Vettel. Where did you start, Seb? I think you started in like 11th or something, 12th. And he finished, 11th? He did have some okay racing. Those are for the McLarens. I mean, I think that's pretty much where Aston is. I'll give you a 7. He has some good overtakes on Albon specifically, but yeah, I'll give Vettel a 7. Vettel 7 out of 10. Lance Stroll gets an 8 for me. Lance Stroll, again, look at my social media. You'll see I posted Lance Stroll's overtakes. But Lance had a great race. He was very good today. I would be proud if I was Lance Stroll of what I did today. I think Lance is weird because obviously he's here because of his dad. But he's also a good racer. He's a good racer, so that's where it's kind of tough. But you know. Next, Daniel Ricardo. You were kind of nowhere. You had a couple good overtakes. I'll give you a 7 out of 10, Ricardo. You weren't like totally average, but you know. I'll give you a nice 7 out of 10. Decent weekend for Ricardo. Ocon, you got a special 9 out of 10. This is your home race. Before this race, you had never scored in your home Grand Prix, and that might be your last time ever racing here. No, for those reasons, I think Ocon gets a 9 out of 10. Yeah, he did pretty good. Very well recovery after that incident, and he got damaged the whole race, but he coped well. Lando gets marginally better than Ricardo, 7.5. It's kind of disappointing after his qualifying. They didn't do better, but you know, McLaren's probably limited, so I'll give him that. Give him a nice 7.5 out of 10. So now, moving on, we got Fernando Alonso. I don't know what's wrong with Fernando Alonso. I'm giving you a 7.5. Along with Lando. I think Fernando loves chaos. Lando was closing in on him. His team came on to say Lando was catching in the third sector, just like keeping him noted. And he was like, "Yep, I know. I'll let him catch me so he can burn his tires." Like what? Fernando he's a different animal. He's an animal. That's all I can say. Carlos Sainz. I'm gonna give a 9.5. The only thing he didn't do well is the start was kind of okay, and he didn't get on the podium or anything significant. So I can't give him a 10 personally. But this is a perfect weekend and race for Carlos given the circumstances. He was rapid. We've seen sometimes when Bottas goes to the back of the field, just comparing like the second drivers. When Bottas goes back to the field, it doesn't do generally well. But just a great job from Carlos. Great job. Some amazing overtakes. Sergio Perez gets a 6. That's generous. Even though I wish he would have gotten the podium, he was nowhere all weekend. He had no pace. No pace. I think Carlos is easily faster. George Russell, I'll give you a 7.5. That's all I'm going to say about George. George, I love you, mate. Please just be better and stop whining. I hope Mercedes teach you to stop whining, bro. You're a good racer. Just race, man. Lewis Hamilton, I'll give you a 9. Hamilton had a great race. Kept it clean for the most part. He had some offs, but he did great. Got second. Max gets a 8. He was lacking pace, and without Charles retiring, he's second place, right? So yeah, I'll give Max an 8. I'll do 8.5 because that's only half a point better than Charles. 8.5 for Max Verstappen. Alright, things to look forward to for you guys is I am starting a new series where I go through old races. We are starting from the beginning of Turbo Hybrid era. But yeah. So I'm going to be going through 3 races at a time. Let's look at some news things. I just saw a thing. Latest. Sainz defends Ferrari strategy after a late pit stop. Carlos Sainz, while the driver of the Brands, having come from 19th to 5th in the race, and while the Ferrari driver said he could have taken a podium with a perfect race, he was content with the team strategy and the points he clinched. Sainz started 19th thanks to gripability on the hard tires and made it as high as P3, passing George Russell and Sergio Perez after safety car for Charles Leclerc's crash. However, the Spaniard had to cope with a 5-second penalty as it released after he recovered to 5th by the flag. That's not what he says. I think the team's doing a very good job on strategy this year. Still believe at Ferrari we get super criticized for things other teams might be going through also in the pit stop windows, and every time there's a tricky moment on strategy, we are discussing things, but we're not a disaster like people seem to say we are. We like to discuss things. We are open about them. Interesting. Yes, I was in the middle overtake, but I didn't believe that was going to be the right lap to stop and come back to the field, he said. I believe maybe the time it was better to risk it and stay out and see what happens to tires. But I just made it to P3 and I saw a podium just and I said, if I make these tires last, maybe I can finish on a podium. But we'll never know if the team's lost more data, computer, they have a lot more numbers to go through. If they took that decision, I'm 100% convinced they took it with the best of intentions and with the best of spirits. It's just we need to keep progressing and we need to analyze everything. Okay. Oh my god. I was thinking too much. Well, it was far from making excuses, but he explained that he found the Ferrari hard to get to grips with over the French Grand Prix weekend. I was thinking too much on Alonso. It's been very difficult for me. I struggled a lot with the balance of the car. I look over series cars, but when it's warm like this, it's very difficult to be consistent, and I made a mistake at the wrong moment. I go through the same process all the time, try to analyze. The snap was a bit of a weird one, so I'll look into the data and try to understand it. And I didn't. Oh yeah, for me, it's a mistake. That's it. I think it's just a mistake. I tried to make it around the outside, put a wheel probably somewhere dirty, but it's my fault. If I keep doing mistakes like this, then I don't deserve to win the championship. I'm losing too many points. I think 25 here, and honestly, we were the strongest car on track today. So yes, if we lose the championship by 32 points at the end of the season, I will know where they are coming from, and it's acceptable. I just need to get on top of these things. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Interesting. More stuff here. Alright, so just Perez basically saying he felt he got screwed in the safety car because he went, but it didn't go. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Just been reading a lot of stories. Look for a podcast either later this week or next week. And I'll figure out what I want to do with my team. It's not performing all that well. I think I'm going to do 10 parts. And if it doesn't start to gain traction, I'll reevaluate that. Let's see what you guys want. And thank you guys for watching. And I will see you guys later. Peace.